Okay, welcome back to my channel, May Between the Pages. My name is Taylor, and today we're going to be talking about my autumn TBR. I recently changed to seasonal TBRs. I used to do monthly TBRs, but the way that my life is set up right now, 2 jobs, new baby, that kind of thing, monthly is just not happening. I gave it the good old college try, but it hasn't been working out so far. Along with that, my TBR jar is going to unfortunately have to take a back seat right now as well. I love pulling out a book that I don't expect, that I don't plan for from that jar. I genuinely enjoyed that aspect of having it as part of my routine, but I just can't realistically add that on top of all of the other commitments I've made for myself. All of the Patreon things I'm doing. Right now I'm also doing 2 concurrent vlogs. I'll talk about those when I talk about the books I plan to read. There's just a lot that I, by my own choice, have put on my plate. And so for now, the TBR jar is also going to take a step back, but it is by no means disappearing from my channel. I can really see myself bringing that back into the fold a little bit later. Maybe depending on how my life is looking at the time, maybe my winter TBR, I foresee having a bit more time at that point. But now for autumn, I'm really making an MBR. That's what this is. This is a maybe read. I have high hopes, as always. I'm gonna list all of the books that are kind of on my radar that I'm thinking to get to, but also keep in mind I've been a mood reader the past year and a half in a way that I have never been ever in my life before. So there's always some surprises that pop up, but these are just the books that I can choose from for the next 3 months when I'm looking for what to read next. Now, first I'm going to start with a whole series. If you know what's coming out in December, I think you can guess what this series is, but it's real damn heavy, so let me get that. And that would be the Stormlight Archive. I forgot how heavy all of these are together. So The Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, Oathbreaker, Rhythm of War, and then the 2 novellas, Edge Dancer and Dawn Shard. This is my collection that is always one shelf above what you can see in frame. I have all of the UK hardbacks. Wow, these are heavy, so I'm going to put this down and just pick up one. Why not hold the first in the series, which is The Way of Kings, while I'm talking about it. So this is the only one that I haven't read physically in this copy. All of the rest of mine, this is Oathbringer here, have an ungodly amount of tabs. So I did want to start this reread in preparation for Wind and Truth by reading this physically, this copy physically and tabbing it, but I just don't have time to physically sit down with this monster right now. So I finally gave in and started reading it via audio. And I have, the first time I read through the series, I read this physically, and then the second time I did the audio, and I love the audio. Michael Kramer just knocks it out of the park. So I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. So I have now started my reread of this series, and what I think I'm going to do, I have high hopes, let's see if I can do this, is do a reread vlog of me going through the series, so that hopefully by the time Wind and Truth comes out, I will have my fresh experiences, my fresh thoughts out into the world. I'm thinking I'm going to do the first reread vlog being The Way of Kings, then Words of Radiance, and Edge Dancer, which is the novella before Oathbringer. I think I'm going to try to read these 3 in the first reread vlog, and then in the second one I will read Oathbringer, Rhythm of War, and probably my favorite novella Sanderson has ever written, Dawn Shard. I love this book. I love it so much. Also, it drives me crazy that these 2 don't match. This is directly printed on. Love that for me. But this has, it's like rounded spine, and that one's squared spine. It's the collector in me. Anyway, I am so excited to reread this. I'm so excited to reread the whole series, but especially this novella because it's just, oh, it's so close to my heart. I adore it. But Stormlight Archive is one of my top favorite series of all time. I am with the entire fantasy community. I'm with the hype for December. And I plan to just kind of carve out a decent chunk of time in autumn to just dive into this series. It's like a warm hug every time I dive into it, and I would just like to make the space to allow myself to do that. you know, put aside all of the other things that I have going on and really just dive into this world. And I started listening to the Way of Kings audiobook, and I think I'm gonna have a hard time coming back out of that world. So that time for diving in may have just begun. With that in mind though, I do have a couple other commitments that I am going to prioritize. One of those being Sons of Darkness, this beautiful shiny edition from the Rogan binding. I got this at Worldcon. There is a haul coming up for that, and my actual Worldcon vlog. Listen, I'm working on it. That vlog is the bane of my existence. I have had to fix almost every single piece of footage that I got. There's always something wrong with it, and it's just, I've learned a lot of new editing skills, okay? Getting that vlog prepared for you guys, let's put it that way. That is also on the way. The point is, I bought this at Worldcon, been wanting to get to it for a really long time, and finally my private book club, the Only Good Book Club, this came up in our random number generator. I nominated it at the beginning of the year, so we're gonna be reading this, half of it in 1 month and the other half in another, so I should be finishing this by the end of October, but I feel like it's gonna be perfect. Dark fantasy, spooky vibes for autumn. I think it's perfect timing. I cannot wait to get to this. My other full-on commitment that I can't waver from is my SPIFBO reads. So I am a SPIFBO judge for Spiff Box, the 10th rendition of that, why am I struggling to describe this so much? The 10th rendition of that competition. I am a judge for Before We Go blog, and we are now at the point where we have nominated all of our semi-finalists, and all of us are trying to read at least some of each finalist. So currently I am reading Undine's Blessing. I am only a couple chapters in, but that reading those books, or my portion of those books, is a priority that I have to make sure is very high up there, because we want to make sure we get our finalist out on time. So those are the three big main priorities that I have: the Stormlight Archive reread, Sons of Darkness, and my SPIFBO reads. But of course I have other books on my radar, so let me talk about those a little bit. This is a repeat offender from my summer TBR or MBR that I had put up. In my defense, that was only a month and a half instead of 3 months, so I did not get to this, but that is best served cold. This one I'm specifically planning to do via audio. It did come in from my library, and then I missed the hold, and then 15 people were waiting, and I think I'm gonna get it again soon, but I did just start the Way of Kings audiobook, so like, am I gonna prioritize this one when it comes in? I might have to push it back again. I am so sorry, Shelly. She's one of my patrons, and like, we were supposed to read this together, but she went ahead and read it, rightfully so, because it was taking forever for me to get my audio, and then I missed the audio, and then I was like, you should just go ahead without me. And she's not waiting for me, but like, we're supposed to talk about this book, so I do want to get to it. I do. I love the audio of this series. I'm so torn right now. But this is on the MBR. We'll see what I decide to do in the moment when that hold comes in. You know, I'll put my finger over, download it, or, you know, push it back a couple days. We'll see. But this is on the MBR. At the risk of giving away a little bit more of my haul from Worldcon, I also have What Moves the Dead by Kingfisher. I love Nettle and Bone by Kingfisher so much that I decided to pick this up while I was there. She was at Worldcon. I was really trying to find a moment to get this book personalized, because it is a signed copy, but I wanted to get it personalized. Unfortunately, I did not get the chance, but I do still have the book now. So I think this is going to be an absolutely perfect October read. It gives me the spooky vibes. So I really hope to pick this up during spooky season. So hopefully by the end of October, this one can be read. It is short, you know, it'll be a nice, maybe breath of fresh air between some of these big chonkers I'm reading. It's 169 pages. So, you know, I feel like I could read this in a sitting or two. And the other one that's making an appearance here for my Worldcon haul is a collection of short stories from Nalo Hopkinson called Falling in Love with Hominids. I have wanted to read Hopkinson for a really long time, but I just haven't known where to start. And I've mentioned a couple times here, I've been in my short story era. I've been loving shorter fiction for the last year-ish. And this collection of short stories sounds like it would be perfect for me as an introduction in my current reading mood. So as soon as I saw how pretty this cover was, I mean, look at that, that is stunning. As soon as I saw this at Worldcon, I was like, let me just go for it, you know? So I now have this on my radar as well. Now, speaking of short stories, another repeat offender that I have not yet gotten to, which is a fucking crime, is A Paper Menagerie by Ken Liu. I think this has been on maybe 3 TBRs at this point, or MBRs at this point, and I just haven't prioritized it, and I have no excuse. I love Ken Liu. You know this about me. Everyone knows this about me. This is a Ken Liu Stan account, okay? And I still haven't read this collection. I also have his most recent translation that I was so lucky to have received. So I guess it's a priority, a toss-up between that one and this one I'll read. But yeah, this one is 100% still on the MBR. I have not forgotten about it. And from that very same repeat offender list is Yesterday. This is a Chilean translated short fiction story that I picked up on a complete whim. It's weird, it's odd. I've described it quite a few times now because again, this has been on like 3, maybe 4 TBRs at this point. I'm putting it back out there as short fiction that I would really like to get to. So I can choose between Yesterday, What Moves the Dead, The Paper Menagerie, and Falling in Love with Hominids. These 4 are the 4 that I'm kind of going between to decide which kind of short fiction I would like to get to in the next 3 months. The last thing I'm going to mention here is that there are a couple other books going on in the background that are part of a secret vlog that I've been doing. The reason these are not part of the priority aspect of this is because there is no time limit for this. So whenever these books get read, that secret project will come out. That's kind of a reason why I haven't really been mentioning it, because I want this to be a really enjoyable project for me, and because of that I want to go at the pace that I find comfortable that I want to go at. So there are 3 books that are happening in the background little by little that will be revealed when I finish that particular vlog. Obviously this is more books than I will get to in the next 3 months, especially if I remain as busy as I am, which I foresee that happening, especially through the next 2 weeks. My family is coming to Japan, so I'm gonna have family in town, and all of my spare time is gonna be spent enjoying time with them. So yeah, this is more books that I'm definitely gonna get to, but it's also, not only is this like an MBR of books that I genuinely want to read, but it's also a nice snapshot of just where I am in my reading life right now, what I'm interested in, what I'm looking at, what's catching my eye. So I would like to hear in the comments down below if there's anything that you've noticed in your recent reading taste, something that's catching your eye more, right? So for me, obviously that's short fiction. Take a shot for every time I have said that in this, in this video, and you'll probably not make it through the whole thing, but clearly that's something that's been catching my eye. And as someone who is a tome reader, I love my big, thick fantasy. That is a shift that I've noticed. So just let me know, you know, in the comments down below what you're noticing. What are your priority reads for the next couple months? I will be filming a wrap-up for what I got done in my summer TBR. Again, it was only half the time that, you know, the rest of my seasonal TBRs are predicted to be 3 months. It was only a month and a half. There aren't too many books to talk about, but we'll talk about that more when I get to the wrap up. I've got a lot of other content planned coming out for you guys. The page 2ing schedule should be out soon, so look for me sharing that on Twitter and also on my page. It's late this month because PL and I have had to do a lot of schedule wrangling. Both of us have a very busy end of the year, so trying to find times that work across 2, sometimes 3 different time zones for all of us, it's just a lot. Keeping in mind what we can do and then what the guests can do. But I do think that we finally have picked some dates, and we will be planning some stuff with some amazing guests. So even though the schedule is a bit late for September, look for that. We did already have Andrew on, Andrew Watson, but that will still be on the schedule when I put it out in case you missed it, just as a reminder. Just lots of stuff going on, lots of stuff happening. Even though things might not come out exactly when I plan them to or as frequently as I want them to, there are still really cool things coming in this space, so keep an eye out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell. I'd love to have you as part of this community, and I appreciate it. But for now, I'm gonna head out. Jenny!